Okay, welcome back to our second part of our deep dive into Lilith and Nott. We left off here at, we were starting with the Kabbalah attestations. If you could like and sub, that would be fantastic. Share if you can. Make a comment. All of that helps a lot, and we would greatly appreciate it. So we're going to get right into this. Kabbalah. Lilith, Lyranic Kabbalah. Kabbalistic mysticism attempted to establish a more exact relationship between Lilith and God, with her major characteristics having been well developed by the end of the Talmudic period, after 6 centuries had elapsed between the Aramaic incantation texts that mention Lilith and the early Spanish Kabbalistic writings in the 13th century. She reappears, and her life history becomes known in greater mythological detail. Creation is described in many alternative versions. One mentions her creation as being before Adam's, on the 5th day, because the living creatures with whose swarms God filled the waters included Lilith. A similar version related to the earlier Talmudic passages recounts how Lilith was fashioned with the same substance as Adam was shortly before. A third alternative version states that God originally created Adam and Lilith in a manner that the female creature was contained in the male. Lilith's soul was lodged in the depths of the great abyss. When God called her, she joined Adam. After Adam's body was created, 1,000 souls from the left, evil side attempted to attach themselves to him. However, God drove them off. Adam was lying as a body without a soul. Then a cloud descended, and God commanded the earth to produce a living soul. The God breathed into Adam, who began to spring to life, and his female was attached to his side. Now this is interesting because it's similar to the creation of Ask and Embla in Norse paganism. They carved them out of basically flotsam trees on the beach and breathed life into them. God separated the female from Adam's side. The female was Lilith, whereupon she flew to the cities of the sea and attacked humankind. Of course she did. Of course she did. Yet another version claims that Lilith emerged as a divine entity that was born spontaneously, either out of the great supernatural abyss, or out of the power of an aspect of God, the Gevra of Den. This aspect of God was negative and punitive, as well as one of his 10 attributes, Sephirot. At its lowest manifestation, has an affinity with the realm of evil, and it is out of this that Lilith merged with Samael. An alternative story links Lilith to the creation of luminaries, the first light, which is the light of mercy, one of the Sephirot, appeared on the day of creation when God said, "Let there be light." So this is interesting. This light became hidden, and the holiness became surrounded by a husk of evil. A husk, klippa, was created around the brain, and this husk spread and brought out other husk, which was Lilith. Midrash. The first medieval source to depict Adam and Lilith in full was the Midrash, 10th century, which was followed by the Zohar and other Kabbalistic writings. Adam is said to be perfect until he recognizes either his sin or Cain's fratricide, that is, the cause of bringing death into the world. He then separates from Holy Eve, sleeps alone, and fasts for 130 years. During this time, Pisna, either an alternative name for Lilith, another name, Pisna, or daughter of hers, desires his beauty and seduces him against his will. Yeah, because that's what happens. Please don't seduce me. Anything but that. Takes two to tango, though, doesn't it? Gives birth to multitudes of jinn and demons. The first of them being named Agramos. However, they are defeated by Methuselah, who slays thousands of them with a holy sword, and forces Agramos to give him the names of the rest, after which he casts them away to the sea and the mountains. Treatise on the left emanation. The mystical writing of two brothers, Jacob and Isaac Hakohen, treatise on the left emanation, which predates the Zohar by a few decades, states that Samael and Lilith are in the shape of an androgynous being, double-faced, born out of the emanation of the throne of glory and corresponding in the spiritual realm to Adam and Eve, who were likewise born as a hermaphrodite. The two twin androgynous couples resembled each other, and both were like the image of above. That is, that they are reproduced in a visible form of an androgynous deity. In answer to your question concerning Lilith, I shall explain to you the essence of the matter. Concerning this point, there is a received tradition from the ancient sages who made use of the secret knowledge of the lesser palaces, which is the manipulation of demons, and a ladder by which one ascends to the prophetic levels. In this tradition, it is made clear that Samael and Lilith were born as one, similar to the form of Adam and Eve, who were also born as one, reflecting what is above. This is the account of Lilith which was received by the sages in the secret knowledge of the palaces. Another version, that was also current among Kabbalistic circles in the Middle Ages, establishes Lilith as the first of Samael's 4 wives, Lilith, Nama, Eshteth, Agrat bat Malat. Each of them are mothers of demons and have their own hosts and unclean spirits in no number. Now, to stop right here and add my 2 cents, I believe all 4 of those wives are Lilith and are additional names for her. The marriage of Archangel Samael and Lilith was arranged by Tanavir, blind dragon, who is the counterpart of the dragon that is in the sea. Blind dragon acts as an intermediary between Lilith and Samael. Blind dragon rides Lilith, the sinful. May she be expatriated quickly in our days. Amen. And this blind dragon brings about the union between Samael and Lilith. Now, I'm not sure if this is going to be talked about later, but there is some reference to either Lilith or Samael being the serpent, and either Lilith or Samael rides the serpent to the tree. Let's see. And just as the dragon that is in the sea has no eyes, likewise blind dragon that is above, in the likeness of a spiritual form, is without eyes, that is to say, without colors. Samael is called slant serpent, and Lilith is called the torturous serpent. Sorry, I had to stop the video. The dogs were going crazy. Cheers. Since I'm filming this on New Year's Eve, I might as well have a nip. Alright. Let's see where we were at. The marriage of Samael and Lilith is known as Angel Satan, or the other god, but it was not allowed to last. To prevent Lilith and Samael's demonic children, Lilin, from filling the world, God castrated Samael. In many 17th century Kabbalistic books, this seems to be a reinterpretation of the old Talmudic myth where God castrated the male Leviathan and slew the female Leviathan in order to prevent them from mating and thereby destroying the earth with their offspring. So I'd like to mention the word Leviathan. In the Bible, Leviathan is translated as God's dog or God's servant. A servant of God, like a dog. And I just wanted to mention that because both of these beings were created and revered by God. So, there's that. With Lilith being unable to fornicate with Samael anymore, she sought to couple with men who experience nocturnal emissions coming at night. A 15th or 16th century Kabbalah text states that God has cooled the female Leviathan, meaning that he has made Lilith infertile and she is a mere fornication. The Fall of Man by Cornelius van Haarlem, 1592, showing the serpent in the Garden of Eden as a woman. Okay, so this is where that comes in. How one of them rides the other one, and one of them is the serpent. The treatise on the left emanation also says there are two Liliths, the lesser being married to the great demon Asmodeus, which I also believe is another name for Samael. Some of these are just my own thoughts. I cannot cite a source. It's just something that I believe to be true after reading much on it. That's just what I believe. And so many of these deities have so many different names, and especially in Bible and Jewish sources, they have a lot of different names that mean a lot of different things. So those are just my thoughts. This is not something I can tell you this comes from somewhere. It comes from me. Okay, the matron Lilith is the mate of Samael. Both of them were born at the same hour in the image of Adam and Eve, intertwined in each other. Asmodeus, the great king of the demons, has a mate, the lesser, younger Lilith, daughter of the king whose name is Quasephone. So another name. The name of his mate, Mehetabel, daughter of Matred, and their daughter is Lilith. Another passage charges Lilith as being a tempting serpent of Eve. And the serpent, the woman of harlotry, incited and seduced Eve through the husks of light which in itself is holiness. So there's like this lingering concept here that keeps being repeated through 800 years worth of source material, and that is this dark, evil being is associated over and over again with light, and all of the things that are done to her are done to her by God and by angels that are allegedly good, but they're done to her. She hasn't done anything horrible. She has just asserted her own feelings, and she's punished very harshly for that. Okay, where was I? And all the ruination came about because Adam, the first man, coupled with Eve. Oh, we've got a visitor. Get down, visitor. Hey, sit. No, you're fine. Everything's okay. We've got a visitor. Okay, just, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's very jumpy. I'm trying to do something here. What are you doing? Go away. Go. Lay down. Lay down. Relax. It's okay. Okay. And all this ruination came about because Adam, the first man, coupled with Eve while she was in her menstrual impurity. This is the filth and the impure seed of the serpent who mounted Eve before Adam mounted her. So we've got a little hot lesbian action going on and some menstruation, because, you know, it's what we do is we menstruate. Women menstruate. It's a natural process that is filthy. Behold, here it is before you. Because of the sins of Adam and the first man, all the things mentioned came into being. For evil Lilith, when she saw the greatness of his corruption, became strong in her husk. The husks are this light that she possesses, and came to Adam against his will, and became hot from him, and bore him many demons and spirits and Lilin. Those are the children of Lilith. Lilin. Okay, now we're moving on. Zohar. References to Lilith in the Zohar include the following. She roams at night and goes all about the world and makes sport with men and causes them to emit seed. In every place where a man sleeps alone in a house, she visits him and grabs him and attaches herself to him and has her desire from him and bears from him. And she also inflicts him with sickness, and he knows it not. And all this takes place when the moon is on the wane. So Lilith, as a side note, is a really, really great deity for sex magic. She's heavily associated with sex magic. And, yeah, so yet another reason I love her. This passage may be related to the mention of Lilith in Talmud Shabbat 151b, and also to Talmud Eruvin 18b, where nocturnal emissions are connected with the begettal of demons. According to Raphael Patai, older sources state clearly that after Lilith's Red Sea sojourn, mentioned in Louis Ginsberg's Legend of the Jews, she returned to Adam and begat children from him by forcing herself upon him. Yes. Forcing herself. Before doing so, she attaches herself to Cain and bears him numerous spirits and demons. In the Zohar, however, Lilith is said to have succeeded in begetting offspring from Adam during their short-lived sexual experience. Lilith leaves Adam in Eden, as she is not a suitable helpmate for him. No, definitely not. She needs somebody much more powerful and grounded and strong, masculine, the divine masculine. That's what she needs. Gershom Sholem proposes that the author of the Zohar, Rabbi Moses de Leon, was aware of both folk traditions of Lilith and another conflicting version, possibly older. The Zohar adds further that two female spirits, instead of one, Lilith and Nott, desired Adam and seduced him. Again, both the same. Both the same. Two names of the same person. The issue of these unions were demons and spirits called the plagues of humankind. Eric, go lay down. I'm having a rough time with these dogs today. The plagues of humankind, and the usual added explanation was that it was through Adam's own sin that Lilith overcame him against his will. Bet your ass it was. Eric, no. 17th century Hebrew magical amulets. Medieval Hebrew amulet intended to protect a mother and her child from Lilith. A copy of Jean de Paulet's translation of the Zohar and in the Rittman Library contains inserted late 17th century printed Hebrew sheet for use in magical amulets where Prophet Elijah confronts Lilith. The sheet contains two texts within borders which are amulets. One for a male, La Zakar, and the other one for a female, Len Keva. The invocations mention Adam, Eve, and Lilith. Shava Rishonah. The first Eve, who is identical with Lilith, also devils or angels. Sanoi, Sansanoi, and Samangalef. Shamariel, the guardian. Hastael, the merciful. A few lines in Yiddish are followed by the dialogue between Prophet Elijah and Lilith when he met her with her host of demons to kill the mother and take her newborn child, to drink her blood, suck her bones, and eat her flesh. She tells Elijah that she will lose her power if someone uses her secret names. So she's got like 15 million different names. And we don't know what her true name is. Hopefully we never will, because I don't want her to lose her power. Get down. She reveals at the end Lilith, Abitu, Abizu, Hakash, Avers Hikpodu, Ayalu, Matrota. Those are more names. More names for this crazy bitch has got so many names. In other amulets, probably informed by the alphabet of Ben Sira, she is Adam's first wife. Charles Richardson's dictionary portion of the Encyclopedia Metropolitana appends to his etymological discussion of a lullaby, a manuscript note written in a copy of Skinner. Stephen Skinner's 1671 Etymologicon Linguit Angelicant, which asserts that the word lullaby originates Eric Hush from Lilu, Abby, a Hebrew incantation meaning Lilith be gone, recited by Jewish mothers over an infant's cradle. Richardson did not endorse the theory, and modern lexicographers consider it a false etymology. I don't. I believe lullaby is associated with Lilith. Not so much an amulet as a ritual object for protection. Krasmesser, or Kreismesser, circle knife, played a role in Jewish birth rituals in the area of Alsace, Switzerland, and southern Germany between the 16th and 20th century. The Krasmesser would be used by a midwife or by the husband to draw a magical circle around the pregnant or birthing woman to protect her from Lilith and the evil eye, which were considered to represent the greatest danger for children and pregnant women. So here we have Christians who are doing Jewish birth rituals to protect their newborns. It's funny, they burned us at the stake and then continued to use our rituals, you know. Rabbi Naphtali Hirsch Ben Elisir Trevis described this custom as early as 1560, and later references to a knife or sword by the birthing bed by both Paul Christian Kirchner and Johann Christian Georg Bodenschatz indicate its continuance. A publication about birth customs by the Jewish Museum of Switzerland also includes oral accounts from the 20th century. Baden-Württemberg, which likewise mentions circling movements with a knife in order to protect a woman in childbirth. Now we're going to move on to Greco-Roman mythology. Lamia by John William Waterhouse in 1905. In the Latin Vulgate book of Isaiah, Lilith is translated Lamia, another name. According to Augustine Calmet, Lilith has connections with early views on vampires and sorcery. That she does. Some learned men have thought they discovered some vestiges of vampirism in the remotest antiquity, but all that they say of it does not come near what is related of the vampires, the Lamae, the Strigae, the sorcerers, whom they accused of sucking the blood of living people, and of thus causing their death, the magicians who were said to cause the death of newborn children by charms and malignant spells. Hey! They're crazy. Are nothing less than what we understand by the name of vampires, even were it to be owned that these Lamae and Strigae have really existed, which we do not believe can ever be well proved. I own that these terms, Lamae and Strigae, are found in the versions of Holy Scripture. For instance, Isaiah describing the condition to which Babylon was to be reduced after her ruin, says that she shall become the abode of satyrs, Lamai, and Strigae. In Hebrew, Lilith. The last term, according to the Hebrews, signifies the same thing as the Greeks expressed by Strix and Lamai, which are sorceresses or magicians. So that's another thing they wanted to put the kibosh on. All of this is kind of built in to eliminate these things that they did not want, or that they wanted to control or take power from. And they just built it right into these stories and made it evil, when it actually wasn't. It was a way of life for thousands and thousands of years. Paganism was not evil. It was not associated with demons and killing children and all of these things. But and magicians, sorceresses, druids, shamans, Gothi, all of these people, Volva, all of these people were people that the masses turned to for assistance, for help with things. But the church did not want people to turn to anyone but themselves. So all these things were thrown in. They're evil, they're vampires, they're demons, they're devils, and, they wrote it into here and made it a thing. The last term, according to the Hebrews, signifies the same thing as the Greeks expressed by Strix and Lamai, which are sorceresses or magicians, who seek to put to death newborn children. Whence it comes that the Jews are accustomed to write in the four corners of the chamber of a woman just delivered, Adam, Eve, be gone from hence Lilith. The ancient Greeks knew these dangerous sorceresses by the name of Lamai, and they believed that they devoured children or sucked away all their blood till they died. According to Sigmund Hurwitz, the Talmudic Lilith is connected with the Greek Lamia, who, according to Hurwitz, likewise governed a class of child-stealing Lamia demons. Lamia bore the title Child Killer and was feared for her malevolence, like Lilith. She has another name for Lilith. These are all the same people. Has different conflicting origins and is described as having a human upper body from the waist up and a serpentine body from the waist down. One source states simply that she is a daughter. Hey! Hush. Just checking. Make sure Mom's okay. Don't be mad at me, Mom. One source simply states that she is a daughter of the goddess Hecate, which is another very interesting connection that I like. It's beautiful. Another, that Lamia was subsequently cursed by the goddess Hera to have stillborn children because of her association with Zeus. Alternatively, Hera slew all of Lamia's children except Scylla, in anger that Lamia slept with her husband Zeus. Everybody slept with her husband Zeus, and then she just got mad and punished them. Maybe she should get mad at Zeus. The grief caused Lamia to turn into a monster that took revenge on mothers by stealing their children and devouring them. Lamia had a vicious sexual appetite. Another bad thing? Oh, that's horrible. Should we all hope to have a vicious sexual appetite that matched with her cannibalistic appetite for children? She was notorious for being a vampiric spirit and loved sucking men's blood. Her gift was the mark of Sibyl, a gift of second sight. Zeus was said to have given her the gift of sight. However, she was cursed to never be able to shut her eyes so that she would never obsess over her dead children. Taking pity on Lamia, Zeus gave her the ability to remove and replace her eyes from their sockets. That's fantastic. Thanks, Zeus. He's such a jerk. Sorry if you like that pantheon, if you're a fan of Zeus. But, come on, Zeus, stop it. In Mandaism, in Mandean scriptures, such as Ginza, Rabbah, Kolasta, Lilith, are mentioned as inhabitants of the world of darkness. Arabic culture. The occult writer Ahmad al-Buni, in his Son of the Great Knowledge, folkloric traditions recorded, mentions a demon called the Mother of Children. Term also used in one place, folkloric traditions recorded around 1953 tell about a jinn called Corinna, who was rejected by Adam and mated with Iblis instead. She gave birth to a host, yet another name. So many. I love it. Host of demons became known as their mother. To take revenge on Adam, she pursues human children. As such, she would kill a pregnant mother's baby in the womb, causes impotence to men, or attacks little children with illness. According to occult practices, she would be subject to the demon king Mara al-Biad, which appears to be another name for Iblis, used in magical writings. Stories about Corinna and Lilith merge in early Islam. So that's interesting. I didn't know much about that aspect. But she's back again. Had a minor emergency. The dogs tried to tip over lamps and shit. So here we go. Once again. Let me scoot up. Okay. In Western literature, Lilith in popular culture. In German literature, Faust and Lilith by Richard Westphal, 1831. Lilith's earliest appearance in the literature of the Romantic period, 1789 to 1832, was in Goethe's 1808 work Faust. I'm lost here. The first part of the tragedy. That was too many dates, I guess, for my brain to handle. My brain just... Sorry, what? Faust. Who's that there? Mephistopheles. Mephistopheles. Sorry. Take a good look. Lilith. Faust. Lilith? Who is that? Mephistopheles. Adam's wife, his first. Beware of her. Her beauty's one boast is her dangerous hair. When Lilith winds it tight around young men, she doesn't soon let go of them again. After Mephistopheles offers this warning to Faust, he then, quite ironically, encourages Faust to dance with the pretty witch. Lilith and Faust engage in short dialogue where Lilith recounts the days spent in Eden. Faust dancing with the young witch. A lovely dream I dreamt one day. I saw a green-leaved apple tree. 2 apples swayed on a stem, so tempting I climbed for them. The Pretty Witch. Ever since the days of Eden, apples have been man's desire. How overjoyed I am to think, sir, apples grow, too, in my garden. In English literature, Lady Lilith by Dante Gabriel Rossetti, 1873. The pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood, which developed around 1848, were greatly influenced by Goethe's work on the theme of Lilith. In 1863, Dante Gabriel Rossetti of the Brotherhood began painting what would later be his first rendition of Lady Lilith, a painting he expected to be his best picture hitherto. Symbols appearing in the painting allude to the femme fatale, reputation of the romantic Lilith, poppies, death and cold, and white roses, sterile passion. Accompanying his Lady Lilith painting in 1866, Rossetti wrote a sonnet entitled Lilith, which was first published in Swinburne's Pamphlet Review, 1868, Notes on the Royal Academy Exhibition. Of Adam's first wife, Lilith, it is told, the which he loved before the gift of Eve, that ere the snakes her sweet tongue could deceive, and her enchanted hair was the first gold. And still she sits, while young the earth is old, and subtly of herself contemplative, draws men to watch the bright web she can weave, till heart and body and life are in its hold. The rose and poppy are her flower, for where is he not found, O Lilith, whom shed scent, and soft shed kisses, and soft sleep shall snare? Lo, as that youth's eyes burned at thine, so went thy spell through him, and left his straight neck bent, and round his heart one strangling golden hair. The poem of the picture appeared together alongside Rossetti's painting, Sibylla Palmifera, and the sonnet Soul's Beauty. In 1881, the Lilith sonnet was renamed Body's Beauty in order to contrast it and Soul's Beauty. The two were placed sequentially in the House of Life collection. Rossetti wrote in 1870, Lady Lilith represents a modern Lilith combing out her abundant golden hair and gazing on herself in the glass with that absorption by whose strange fascination such natures draw others within their own circle. This in accordance with Jewish folk tradition, which associates Lilith both with long hair, a symbol of dangerous, feminine, seductive power in Jewish culture, and with possessing women by entering them through mirrors. The Victorian poet Robert Browning re-envisioned Lilith in his poem, Adam, Lilith, and Eve. First published in 1883, the poem uses the traditional myths surrounding the triad of Adam, Eve, and Lilith. Browning depicts Lilith and Eve as being friendly and complicitous with each other, as they sit together on either side of Adam under the threat of death. Eve admits she never loved Adam, while Lilith confesses that she always loved him. I really like that. As the worst of the venom left my lips, I thought, if despite this lie he strips the mask of my soul with a kiss, I crawl his slave, soul, body, and all. Browning, 1098. Browning focused on Lilith's emotional attributes rather than that of her ancient demon predecessors. Scottish author George MacDonald also wrote a fantasy novel entitled Lilith, first published in 1895. MacDonald employed the character of Lilith in service to a spiritual drama about sin and redemption, in which Lilith finds a hard-won salvation. Many of the traditional characteristics of Lilith mythology are present in the author's depiction. Long dark hair, pale skin, a hatred and fear of children and babies, and an obsession with gazing at herself in the mirror. McDonald's Lilith also has vampiric qualities. She bites people and sucks their blood for sustenance. Australian poet Christopher John Brennan included a section titled Lilith in his major work, Poems 1913. The Lilith section contains 13 poems exploring the Lilith myth and is central to the meaning of the collection as a whole. C.L. Moore, 1940, Story of Fruit of Knowledge is written from Lilith's point of view and is a retelling of the fall of man as a love triangle between Lilith, Adam, and Eve, with Eve's eating the forbidden fruit being, in this version, the result of misguided manipulations by a jealous Lilith, who had hoped to get her rival discredited and destroyed by God and thus regain Adam's love. British poet John Siddique collection Full Blood has a suite of 11 poems called the Tree of Life, which features Lilith as the divine feminine aspect of God. Yes, a number of the poems feature Lilith directly, including the piece Unwritten, which deals with the spiritual problem of the feminine being removed by the scribes from the Bible. And so this guy knows what I'm talking about, for sure. Lilith is also mentioned in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. He was a very Christian guy. Lots of Christian symbolism in that book. The character Mr. Beaver ascribes the ancestry of the main antagonist, Jadis the White Witch, to Lilith. Lilith is a poem by Vladimir Nabokov, written in 1928. Many have connected it to Lolita, but Nabokov adamantly denies this. Intelligent readers will abstain from examining this impersonal fantasy for any links with my later fiction. So, lots of writers, artists throughout the years have been drawn to Lilith. And I do feel like there is a sorrow there with Lilith, a sympathy that people have, because ultimately all she did was try to make a choice for herself and was heavily punished. Again, I mean, I've said it before, but I feel like artists and writers and poets and musicians they choose her as a muse because of the sorrow that is there, the pain. She was abused horribly, and her story was changed to basically steal the divine feminine power from women and just take away as much power from them as they could. In Western esotericism and modern occultism, the depiction of Lilith in Romanticism continues to be popular among Wiccans and in other modern occultism. A few magical orders dedicated to the undercurrent of Lilith, featuring initiations specifically related to the arcana of the First Mother, exist. Two organizations that use initiations and magic associated with Lilith are the Ordo Anti-Christianus Illuminati and the Order of Phosphorus. Lilith appears to be a succubus. In Aleister Crowley's De Arte Magica, Lilith was also one of the middle names of Crowley's first child, which is a really long name. Nuit Ma Ahathur Hecate, Sappho, Jezebel, Lilith, Crowley. And apparently, she only lived for 2 years, 1904 to 1906, so she was very young when she passed. Not sure what happened there. Maybe Lilith took her. And Lilith is sometimes identified with Babylon in Thelemic writings. Many early occult writers who contributed to modern-day Wicca expressed special reverence for Lilith. Charles Leland associated Aradia with Lilith. Aradia, says Leland, is Herodias, who was regarded in Stygia folklore as being associated with Diana as chief of the witches. Leland further notes that Herodias is a name that comes from West Asia, where it denoted an early form of Lilith. Yet another name. A lot of names. Many theistic Satanists consider Lilith as a goddess. She is considered a goddess of independence by those Satanists and is often worshipped by women, but women are not the only people who worship her. Lilith is popular among theistic Satanists because of her association with Satan. Some Satanists believe that she is the wife of Satan and thus think of her as a mother figure. Now, and something interesting to note is that the term Satan is used to describe or as used as another name for both Samael and Lucifer. But they're two separate people. So Satan is not an individual. Satan is a descriptor. And I can't remember right now what it means. If you remember what it means, but it's the word Satan is something like I can't remember. Anyways, if you remember what it means, then tell me in the comments. But Satan is not synonymous with Lucifer specifically. Satan is a descriptive term. It's not a name. That is why some people think that Lilith is Satan's wife. She is the wife of Samael, who is referred to as Satan. She is not the wife of Lucifer, who is also referred to as Satan. I don't know if that helps clear it up, but it's interesting. A different approach to satanic Lilith holds that she was once a fertility and agricultural goddess. I believe that to be true. Okay, let's see. Here's a couple more names. Abizu, that's Near Eastern demon blamed for miscarriage and infant mortality. Black Moon Lilith, an astrological and mathematical point. Lila, a Jewish angel whose name means night, believed to protect in pregnancy. Lilith Fair, a traveling musical festival. Daemon, a term for Greek lesser deities, the etymology of the word, the English word demon. Noria, a Gnostic figure. Serpent Seed, a fringe belief. Siren, dangerous female creatures in ancient Greek religion. Spirit Spouse, an element of shamanism. Okay. Kramer translates zoo as owl, but most often it is translated as eagle, vulture, or bird of prey. So yet another name. Okay. So that is it for the Lilith section. The next video will be on Nott. And in that video, because it will be shorter than the Lilith section, in that video I will explain some connections and the reasons why I believe they're one and the same. But that's it. Please like and share. I appreciate you watching. I hope that it was helpful and educational. It's definitely something that's near and dear to my heart, and I'm sorry for the snoring dog.